is going to require you to do something you've never done before, or do something you know you always should have done. It's going to require you to have courage and be brave. Finally, get back to a life with exercise, and this is your first step. We're going to start getting you moving. I'm Lynn Lindberg, your bad couch guru. Well, hello there, and welcome to the Couch to Active podcast, where I believe that exercise should not be dreadful, but getting off the couch is the hardest thing we do. This is Lynn Lindberg, your bad couch guru, here for episode number 7 of going through the entire Couch to Active book. So, if this is the first book series podcast that you have heard, I want you to go back to couchtoactive.com/33, that's the number 33, and start there at the very first episode of this book and work your way through in order. Otherwise, if you're listening to this on a player like Apple Podcasts, it's going to automatically play all of these backwards for you. And maybe if you like Quentin Tarantino kind of movies where the timeline is backwards and all over the place, maybe that's your gig and how you like it. But I like to read a book from the beginning to the end. And for those of you who are with me, you already know you don't need this book in order to get real value out of this podcast. But I'm very biased. I want you to have this book. I want you to work through this, because at the end of every one of these episodes, I share what I believe is the number one most important thing that you could do to really drive change in your life. And you already know I'm regretting it. It's way too hard. There's way more than just one thing in each section of the book, of course, right? But I'm going to do that for you today also on this episode, where we go through section number 6, which starts at page 170 of our book. Also, a couple more things you need to do. If you haven't already and you're listening on a phone or you're listening on your computer, go right to your screen right now. Scroll down till you see somewhere where there's 5 stars on your screen. Click it, give it a 5-star review, and type in a couple of comments about how much you love this podcast. And then go back up to the top and press the button subscribe. Alrighty. 2 more things. I know I just keep saying 2 more things, and we're going to dive right in. Okay. First one is for those of us who are listening to all of these book series episodes, and you're going to want to do that because it's really going to help you see exercise and fitness in a whole new way. And once you listen to all 9 of these episodes, send me an email at beawesome, that's BEAWESOME, at couch2active.com, and just send me your mailing address and I will send you for free in the snail mail a Couch to Active finisher sticker. Yes, we have definitely enough to get us through this year, and probably even more than that. This has really just been a fun way to really stay connected with people, because I see people through this podcast, and I see you on the other side of these earbuds, and I'm not talking into the abyss in the world. I know you're a real human right there, really trying to figure this out. So I absolutely love, it makes my day every time I get one of these that comes in. So please do that. Lastly, we only have 2 more weeks after today of these podcasts for Couch to Active. And I've been asking myself the question, do I want to go back and continue managing this podcast in the way that I have before the book series? Do I want to have half-hour, 45-minute episodes and hour-long episodes? No, I don't want to keep doing it the way that I've been doing it, because Couch to Active has such a different viewpoint. So I want to change this podcast up after this book series so that you can get more quickly a really quick idea of what does Couch to Active mean in the context of so many other things out there. Like What's Couch Active stance on marathons? What's Couch Active stance on plus size fitness clothing? What does Couch to Active think about the fact that Nike finally has plus size mannequins? What does Couch to Active think about bodybuilding? And a whole bunch of things that really only need to be 5-minute episodes where you can just go in, click on whatever topic you're most interested in, and get the 5 to 10-minute ditty on what it is to help you frame your mind in a positive way around it. And I don't think I need to spend a half hour talking on and on just because I can. So that's where this podcast is going to head after we're done with the book series here pretty quick. Okie dokie. Let's take a look now at page 170 of the book. This section is titled Radical Change. We're more than 2/3 of the way through all the different concepts. You've already had about 30 different lessons in how to help yourself get in the right mindset, how to break barriers, how to solve for barriers, how to own your life, what kind of mindset you really should have around exercise at all in the first place. And now we're getting to where things are really tough. You've gone through all of that already. And now you're saying to yourself, I don't know. I might actually really be stuck. This may actually not be attainable for me right now, today. And I get it. I absolutely respect it that sometimes it is really, really tough. And sometimes we just don't get to exercise the way we want to or need to. And guess what? Sometimes it's okay. Yes, I said it. But before you go there, you've got to do all the lessons before about breaking barriers, owning your life, owning your solutions. And then you've got to do a really big mindset piece where you tell yourself, this is your life and it's okay for you to drive your life. And remember, there's probably a good chance that you're just caught up in the crazy of your life and you're letting everyone and everything externally around you do more to drive your life. And you've really given the steering wheel over to a lot of other people in your life because you feel like that's the right thing to do. But it's really just inertia. It's cultural norms. It's the way we're raised to think about the roles we're supposed to take. And it's not really focused on what's healthy for us as human beings. Because remember, folks, you're a human being. You're a human being in the same way that animals and creatures in the world need to exercise. You need to exercise too. You aren't exempt from that just because you're a higher level thinking person and you can solve abstract problems and work in technology. That doesn't negate the fact that you have a human body. You've got bones and meats and it is your life and it is up to you to own it and drive it. So really come into this not looking for excuses and not looking for an out, but come into it knowing, yes, Lynn, yes, I know. I am owning all of that and I am still stuck. Well, then what do you do? I don't know. That's when it gets really, really tough. The first thing I want you to do is write it down. Pause and write it down, or talk to somebody that is a really supportive person in your life, not a naysayer. We talked about those naysayers. This is not the time to talk to your naysayer. They're not going to help you at all. It'll backfire. So talk to them about the areas where you think you are really stuck. Is it your job? Are you really actually in a job where it's impossible to get an exercise? I've been there. I've been the road warrior before where, oh my gosh, it's just ridiculous. The workload plus travel plus red-eye flight so I can see my child on the weekend before I have to fly back. I get it. I understand that our cultural norm doesn't support it at all. And sometimes that is really a real thing. Maybe your kids or an aging parent are so overwhelming and so consuming, and you really have some special needs there that you're caring for, and it just, you feel like you have no out there at all. And maybe you're overcommitted and you feel like there's no way to get out of it and you're just chasing it all. Or maybe you have a unique health situation or unique mental struggles that you're dealing with that really are here to stay and they're not going anywhere. So take those things, and I want you to sit down with somebody or write them down, because really if they just stay in your head, that's a start, but it's not good enough. You're really going to see more action here is if you talk to somebody or write it down at minimum and say, hey, I actually really feel stuck with my aging parent because they are taking up and sucking up every second of free time that I have when I actually don't have any free time at all. Or I have a health issue that makes it pretty much impossible for me to function normally in life. And I am just at the place where I just am trying to live a normal life. I mean, these are heavy, big things that you're thinking about all day, every day, that you live with. These are chronic pain issues that just don't go away. And I tell you, for people who have chronic pain, you already know this, right? It leaves you mentally and physically exhausted. And there is no amount of Superman, Superwoman hero strength that's going to make it magically go away. These are real barriers that we're really dealing with that seem like they're really here to stay. So what I want you to do, talk to somebody and see if they can help you brainstorm solutions or see about it in a different way or think about it in a different way, with the intent of having one last ditch effort to make this, and maybe you do this 10 times, maybe it's 10 last ditch efforts to make a breakthrough when all the other exercises we did earlier didn't work. Maybe this could finally be your breakthrough on any of these barriers. And very, very likely, any solution or anything that you come up with to try is going to require you to do something you've never done before, or do something you know you always should have done. It's going to require you to have courage and be brave. And that can be a really scary thing. But we're talking about really helping to improve your life here, right? You're really committed to making this happen, and it won't happen without really being brave and taking some big steps. And while you're doing that, do not ever apologize to anyone for your limitations or your real barriers. Don't apologize. Those are there. Those are real. You're looking at them head on and you're doing what you can. And you know what? Sometimes they really are here to stay. I have a dear, dear lifelong friend that I've known literally since before we were born. Her name is Anne. She's awesome. She's fun. She has just this amazing spirit. She's such a wonderful person. And she had so many multiple surgeries over years and years for hernias and then more hernias. And she, honest to God, her goal after going through all of this and looking at what are my barriers, what can I do, she got to a point where she could finally quit beating herself up for what she couldn't do. And she could finally start saying, yeah, this just is where it is. And it sucks. And I'm such a vibrant, beautiful spirit. And I wish I could jump and do backflips, or I wish I could just take care of my kids and clean the house and walk around the block like a normal human being without it hurting me, but I can't. This concept of barriers that are really here to stay, she was able to let go, not give up, but let go of the guilt around what she couldn't do, around the shame around what she couldn't do, around the frustration of how hard it is to try to recover, and then you have a setback, and you try to recover and you have a setback. And she knows this is probably for the rest of her life. Usually her goal is to be able to walk around the block in a day. But what this has done for Anne is it's put her in a better mindset, not beating herself up so badly anymore. Or when she does, to recognize, hey, oh, here it is. It's happening again. This is normal. My life isn't going to be tra-la-la happy all the time because pain hurts the mind and the body. And so she was able to take that and flip it into something that was better for her. I have another friend, Amy, who was not really in the best of shape, and she started exercising and she was really happy and excited about it. And then one day she got a phone call, bam, her partner was in a horrible accident, became a quadriplegic, And that, well, actually, before they knew the quadriplegic thing, they thought he was going to die. And so she went to the hospital, saw him there, this amazing, vibrant athlete who's now hooked up to respirators, hooked up to like everything. I mean, we've seen the photos before, right, of people in really tough situations in the hospital. That was him in a coma for a very long time. And when he came out, it was still months and months of being in the hospital to recover. And now he's a quadriplegic. And during that time in Amy's life, she went from doing her first running race to boom, no exercise at all for a year. Pretty much no exercise at all, she says. She's like, oh, I sometimes try to force myself to go to the gym now and then because I knew I should. But pretty much no exercise. She worked all day and she spent all of her free time next to her partner in the hospital. And for her, that was the right decision to do. Now, she knew that that would come at a cost to her own health to some degree, but it was only a year. And her heart was at the hospital right there with her partner. There was nowhere else she wanted to be. And for her own, she says, for her own mental sanity, that's right where she needed to be. So it was her self-care of prioritizing her mental sanity and her ability to try to balance it all with still having to hold a job down to bring income while her partner's in the hospital, not knowing what the future's going to hold, not knowing how he'll come out of it or progress or not. And looking back now, she does not regret that year at all because she looked at her barriers and then she owned her own decision. She owned it. She said, I am not going to exercise right now because this is what I got going on and I'm going to own it. And guess what happened to her? Did she fall off the planet and die and gain 100 pounds in that 1 year? No. We know this. We know that doesn't happen. And that's part of what makes it so hard to get off the couch, because we know if we miss one day, and we only miss one day, it's really okay. It's okay. And then we tell ourselves that, and then we miss, a whole month. But what she did was, once her partner was able to rehab well enough that she could get space back in her life, she has actually gone on to complete multiple Ironmen. Yeah. And I think it's ridiculous. Ironman is like a 2.5 mile swim. What is it? 112 mile bike ride plus a marathon. Awesomely wickedly ridiculous. Yeah. And so if that's you, if you're in a space where you really are stuck and you work through it and you own it and you've broken through all the barriers you can, I want you to give yourself permission to also own that decision of if you are going to take a break. And I want you to then flip it and quit beating yourself up so badly. Quit being miserable about it and really own that. And if now you're saying, but wait, I can't just give up. No, I will not ever give up. I can't. Okay, now then, if that's you, it's time for radical change. So if your issue is a job and that job truly is keeping you from being able to ever exercise, guess what? It's not going to happen today, but you need to go get yourself another job. Start looking right now today. If it's being a caregiver for someone younger or older and it's just killing you and it's hurting your life and it's hurting your health and you're putting your health below somebody else's and you're resenting that and you're putting your health below someone else's, guess what? You can make that radical change. You can figure out what it'll take to get a change in your life. And you may not see what the answer is today. In fact, right now, you're probably angry at me and you probably think, oh, Lynn hasn't been through anything like what I have been through. And you're right. I haven't. I've been through a lot. As my friends say, I've been to hell and back multiple times. And when you're in the middle of it, you can't see the solution. It's not there in front of you because you're in the middle of it. And I respect that. But you can tell yourself today, you're going to talk to more people. You're going to keep searching. you're going to work your way through it. Find your light at the end of your tunnel. And I can't tell you where that is or what it is, but I can tell you that if you never give up on yourself, things are going to change. And that'll be a good thing. Whew. So let's pause here for just a moment, because this is heavy stuff. When we really pause to think about a radical change in our life and what our life could look like a few weeks from now, a couple months from now, 5 years from now, we almost can't even imagine what it is, can we? Because we might feel like we are trying everything we can already. So let's pause and ask ourselves, if there was one radical change that you want to make in your life, what would it be? And this is your one thing. Your one thing is to ask yourself, what is one radical change you want to make in your life? Doesn't have to be today or even next year, but today, what I want you to do is to really own it. And very likely, the first thing that came to your mind, the first thing you thought about, but you won't write on a piece of paper because you don't want anybody to see it, that's the thing. Because subconsciously, you've been thinking about it for a long, long time. That, my dear friends, is the one thing for this week, is to ask yourself, what is the one radical change you want to make in your life? Oh, congratulations for making it through episode 7 out of 9 of this series. Today's podcast can be found on couchtoactive.com/39. That's the number 3, the number 9. Next week, we are on number 40. I feel like I should have a little celebration. It's 40 episodes. And, geez, we just started this podcast not too long ago. Next week, episode 8 of 9, we are going to look at what you're going to do in the next 2 years. Yes, you heard me right. Yes, 2 years. 1, 2, 2 years. What you're going to do in the next 2 years to keep all of this rolling. And no, it's not a sales pitch. It's actually what you're going to do. And I'm going to tell it to you on the podcast for the next episode. I can't wait to share all of that with you. Go out and get yourself some exercise. Even if you're not feeling well today, just do what you can do. Give yourself lots of compassion. Do what you can do, or do what will make you smile. Alrighty, friends. We'll see you, same place, next week on the Couch to Active podcast. Thanks for listening to Couch to Active, where I believe that exercise should not be dreadful, but getting off the couch is the hardest thing we do. Bye-bye now.